Folks, welcome to the channel. It is me, 138 MMA, and I am here with the one and only Joey the Hitman Hart. You probably remember him from the Contender Series a few weeks ago. Had a very competitive matchup, close split decision. Joey Hart is an extremely entertaining fighter. If you are not familiar with him, you will be after this interview. Joey, how do you feel today after that fight? How is everything going? How's the fight career looking for you looking forward?
I'm feeling good. I'm back to training now. The body's feeling good. Yeah, no injuries really. Just had a couple sorenesses after the fight, but yeah, had my week to rest, and now I'm back to training and feeling good. Looking to get another fight.
That's awesome. So, razor thin split decision.
Yep.
It's just kind of how it falls sometimes. But I assume you watched the fight back now.
Yeah, I've gotten to watch it back.
What are some things you took away from watching that back that maybe you would have done differently, or maybe there wasn't anything and it just the way it felt? Like, what are kind of your thoughts after watching it again?
No, yeah, there's a lot I could have done differently. But there was a lot I was happy with as well. There was a lot of things we worked on that went according to plan, like using my jab and like all those intercepting strikes, like landing the knees and the uppercuts on the level changes. Unfortunately, I thought they would knock him out or at least drop him, but he ate those. He had a great chin, but so things like that. He has like good pressure and he likes to throw his combinations really when he's going forward, not so much when he's not. And so it was my goal to not get stuck on the cage, and basically zero times in that fight really was stuck on the cage, other than like some wrestling stuff. But yeah, I really controlled the center, so I was happy with that. Things we could have done better. There was a lot, obviously, the wrestling, just getting up. I mean, I felt like he didn't do anything with it. Like he had no real strikes. I mean, a couple like pitter patter shots. From like butterfly guard and no guard passing, no submission attempts, no real attacks, just trying to hold. And I could feel it in there. Like I could feel how much strength he was using in just holding. So I was patient where I probably should have been a little bit more urgent. There's a lot of times where I should have probably been spazzing out, like trying to really make something happen, get back to my feet.
Which, and it's funny because when I was looking up all your fights and all that stuff, I stumbled across a video. It was titled something like MMA fighter challenges YouTuber or whatever, and it was like in a grappling match.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
You're talking about Spangler. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. When I watched that, I'd watched that actually after I'd recorded my breakdown video, and all of a sudden I was like, oh man, like Joey Hart's got this like slick, wild, crazy on the ground style. I was like, what if this goes to the ground and he subs Bennett? I was like, this is gonna be wild because I was watching that, but it is different, obviously, in a cage because it's on the mat. But okay, I gotta ask real quick before we go back to the fight. Like, how did that video come about? Because that was just like wild.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a real challenge match. That was right. Just my boy Spangler. He has some real cool videos on YouTube. But he doesn't train at our gym anymore. He moved to another city, but but back when he trained with us, he would always just like want to shoot, two people rolling at the end of practice, and I was always down for that. So yeah, and then that was Zaw in the video who I was rolling with. I still train with him.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, because in your pro fights, there's not a ton of footage of you grappling. And right. I think it's probably because you're knocking a lot of guys out. So
yeah.
That's good. But yeah, so that was what I had to go on as far as like your grappling skill, and then just like a little bit from the amateurs, which was hard to find. There's not much amateur footage out there, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough.
Which that actually leads me to something else. So a buddy of mine trains with a former opponent of yours. So I asked him, I said, hey, ask your buddy Brady Minner how Joey Hart is, like what his thoughts are on him, because he fought you to a decision like many years ago, like 2017 maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
He was so complimentary of you. Like he he was like, that guy is so awesome. Like he probably gave you more flowers than I did even. And I felt like I was pretty complimentary as well. But he spoke extremely highly of you. But yeah, he also said that the only thing that he could see someone being able to beat you with is if they just held you down.
Yeah, no, that's really nice of Brady. No, he's cool. I still keep in contact with him after
that's awesome.
After our fight. Always tell him good luck, and stuff on his fights. And yeah, he was definitely my toughest amateur fight, and yeah, just in general, one of the toughest dudes I've ever fought. Like, and yeah, I normally don't win decisions. I normally knock guys out, but couldn't knock him out. No. But yeah, no, I agree. I guess that is the game plan, to beat me, and we knew that coming in. I think a lot of people, not so much people in my circle, but like people outside, people who just tuned in and don't know me, they're probably like thinking like, how is this guy like thinking he's going to get into the UFC with wrestling, of that level, like getting taken down that much. And the reality is, like I know that's the way to beat me. I just know, I knew going in, that's not the way to win a contract, and that's what I thought. No, and I thought that's what he was there to do. That's what me and my team. Obviously, we wrestled. We wrestled a lot the last camp, but just mentally, I was showing up to basically do a small glove kickboxing match. Try to like plant my feet and throw bombs and try to get a contract. And I thought I had a lot of respect. I do have a lot of respect for Benjamin still. But I had a lot of respect for his striking. Like, he's like a 5-0 professional boxer, however many amateur boxing and professional kickboxing, whatever. So he's a good striker, seasoned striker with more experience than myself. And so I felt like he was of the level. Like, I mean, he was taking the shots and he was giving them back. Like, it's not like, I don't know. I would say we're of a similar level. So I felt like he would be fine to do that and try to win a contract. But yeah, he wanted to be strategic with it.
And that's the thing too, because honestly, you guys were that particular week, you two were by far the most UFC ready guys on the entire card out of all 10 of the fighters, right?
Uh-huh.
The problem is you guys had to fight each other.
Right.
That's where the issue came in, because like both of you guys are clearly at a level that you guys can compete in the UFC with your skill sets, but the contender series is a weird kind of thing where you do kind of have to get a finish or have like a slobber knocker. But yeah, it was one of those things where he came in looking to get the win, and yeah, it was close. Like, a lot of people thought you won, and if they had read your name off as the winner at the end of that fight, I wouldn't have been surprised at all. Like, it was that close. I hope they put you back on. Have you heard anything from the UFC, like maybe talking about putting you back on maybe next year or anything like that?
A lot of the people there, like just like production and like the staff I dealt with at the Apex, a lot of them were really cool, and like they said it was a great fight. They said like, oh, for sure you'll be on next year. So to me that's like a for sure. I have to make something happen before then. Obviously, I can't just lose and then just hang out for a year. So my plan is to kind of win another fight, maybe 2 fights, like impressively, back to highlight reel knockouts, and then maybe even try to get like a short notice call.
There you go.
That'd be so much for me. I feel like that would fit me so much better than contender series. I'm an exciting fight. I think the way I fight, it's easy for me to win a contract if I win the fight, but at the same time, it's just so much better. To get to just go straight to the UFC that way, and because I also have such easy weight cuts, and I always like stay in shape and stay ready. So I just think I'd be the guy for that.
That's kind of surprising that you have an easy weight cut, because you're kind of tall. Like, I'm sure you get that a lot. But what do you walk around at?
Like at my heaviest, like low 190s.
No way. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Never in my life I've never weighed 200. Like, I've tried, and that's like eating junk. Like, not. I guess it's because I'm always training. I never take like enough time off to get fat, really. But
I get that. Yeah, you can eat junk food if you're training like 8 hours a day or more. So I get it.
Yeah.
So okay, so let me ask you this. So you're looking to find fights, obviously, because you don't want to just sit around. Is it hard for you to find fights at the regional level at this point in your career?
I wouldn't say hard. It's you have to kind of wait around, or you have to travel sometimes. I think that's more what it is. Like for me to fight in Minnesota, yeah, like I don't think I could fight in Minnesota before the end of the year. I don't think there's anything for me, honestly. Like they wouldn't be able to find me anything. So yeah, in that way. Look, but it's not far. You know, like travel to Iowa, travel to Wisconsin, travel to North Dakota. So there's stuff around. So yeah, there's actually a lot of. There was times where it was hard, but I think right now we're in a good spot with a lot of promotions, and there are some options.
That's good. Yeah, because I know a lot of people that like after their contender series fight, all of a sudden they just can't find a fight again. It's because I think it's because people don't want to just like go get beat up. You know?
Right, and it's not contender series money either.
Right.
They don't want to fight that guy who was just fighting for a higher check for less money.
Yeah. I mean, some dude on the regional scene that's getting like $500 to show up doesn't want to go get in there and get his head caved in by a UFC level guy. So
right, yeah.
But yes, okay, that's good. So at least you have the option to find some fights because, like I said, there's a lot of them that don't. So that's good. Are you trying to get one more in before the end of the year?
Yeah, that's the goal. Ideally, like before Christmas, you know, and then enjoy the holidays, and then get back to fighting next year. Try to get another one in, but yeah, ideally like either late November, early December, would be good.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, and then so you want to get one in before the end of the year, and then are you looking to take some time off around the holidays and jump right back in, get 3 more next year, or are you just going to kind of like feel it out?
Yeah, I don't know about 3 more next year. It kind of because I've kept a pretty active schedule where I am fighting like every couple months, and I want to keep that. But at the same time, I think like two. I think one more like really good knockout. I think puts me in a position where like I could possibly get a short notice call, and then I'd say like two wins would put me in a spot where I think I'd be good to get back on contender next year. But kind of just go with how things go and see how the next fight goes, damage wise, go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if you got 2 wins if you weren't invited back next year. So that's a pretty solid plan. If it's me, not like I'm an expert, but like that, I think that sounds like an awesome plan.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the preliminary stuff out of the way. We got the boring stuff out of the way. Let's get to the fun stuff. Okay.
Right.
So I'm looking through your stuff, right? Your first ever amateur fight that that was on like recorded history was a draw.
Right.
After that, okay, so it's your first fight. Your fight finishes in a draw. Does that make you like, man, I want to get back in there right away, or are you like, man, this sucks, I don't want to do this? I guess I didn't.
Yeah.
It was like, what on earth was the feeling like after your first fight being a draw?
No, it was weird. I wasn't really discouraged. I thought I won. Like in the moment, I was just like, oh damn, that's weird. Like, but I didn't really care. Honestly, I wasn't really like super beat up. I was just like, oh, it was a fun fight. So, and I was more just happy with how it went overall. Like I went the distance. I had never been, I've never been in a 9-minute long street fight. So that was just a different experience. And yeah, no, it was cool. It was a tough opponent for my first fight.
You mentioned you've never been in a 9-minute long street fight. That's actually funny that you say it because like people are always like, oh yeah, I fought in the streets, and so I'm gonna go fight in the cage when they first start out,
Right.
But like, it's so like different because yeah, you don't get 9-minute long street fights. They end real fast.
No, yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and like you said, 9 minutes, like when we think about 9 minutes, it doesn't sound like a long time. When you're fighting somebody, that is. So that's pretty wild. And okay, so you had a pretty lengthy amateur career as well.
Yep.
What was it that made you feel like, okay, let's stick with the amateurs for a while before we jump to the professional career? Because a lot of guys, they don't take that time to develop, but you did. You took the smart route, developed everything that you needed, and then took the next step. What was it what led you to that process?
I think it was just my background. I felt like I needed the experience. Basically, my lack of background. Like I think you see guys. They're like a state champion wrestler or like a D1 wrestler, whatever D2. They can come in and go 4-0 as an amateur, and they're for them to carry on, for them, the difference between them going forward 4-0 and 8-0, like as far as what they're going to gain from it, isn't a whole lot. Like they're just going to keep smashing guys who aren't really on their level, who aren't, at least for the most part, guys who aren't going to give them tough fights or tough lessons. So it makes sense that guys go pro, you know, when they have accolades, when they have backgrounds like that, whether it's, you know, wrestling or even like high level strikers or even high level jiu-jitsu guys. But for me, I didn't have any kind of background athletically. Like I didn't even play high school sports or anything like that. So I I think it was 18 years old is when I started boxing, and that was just at the small club in my hometown. And then started doing jiu-jitsu after that, and had my first fight at 19. So the whole amateur like career of mine, I mean, the early fights, like I remember, it's funny. I remember Levi, my teammate Levi, and I think it was Levi and Cody, both in the corner, and they were yelling for me to whizzer in a fight when this guy kept trying to take me down. And I literally didn't know what that was. Like I was just like, what do you like? It was nonsense. I had no idea what it meant. And so I kind of had to learn like how to wrestle and jiu-jitsu and all these other things as I was also competing in my first amateur fights. So I just needed, you know, a lot more.
That's incredible that you didn't do any martial arts whatsoever until 18, and then you have your first fight at 19. That's crazy. Right.
Yeah.
You just went from nothing to like, let's see what happens if I get in a cage with somebody.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's incredible. Okay, so I guess you probably had like a coach that was like, hey, maybe it's a good idea to get in there, or were you just like, you know what, screw this, let's just get in and see what happens?
No, it was kind of just myself. Like I actually hit up the promoter myself, messaged them. They told me what to do, how to get licensed, and then my mom helped me with all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was also like Cody, and Levi together, kind of coaching each other. Like we were all amateurs. Cody had his first fight like a couple months before I had mine, and then me and Levi both debuted that same night on the same card. And so we were kind of like I would help them a little. Even I wasn't much of a striker, but I'd help them with boxing stuff, and they'd be helping me with wrestling.
So did they like have a wrestling background then, or?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, and Cody's also a wrestling coach, and he's still.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's good. So they're telling you all this wrestling stuff, and you're like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like they, I think it was for my second, maybe my third fight. Because Cody was a wrestling coach. Well, he still is, but he was coaching at a different school at this time, and he would bring me with to wrestle like high schoolers. So I'd be wrestling these high school kids as I'm getting ready for a fight, and they'd be just beating me up, throwing me all over the place. And I mean, I got tougher from it, learned a little bit on the job, and then won the fight. But yeah, just I think the long career as an amateur was necessary for me.
That's good, because a lot of people wouldn't recognize that, and then they get like a really bad run when they start their pro career, and then it's just so hard to get back. Yeah, because your amateur record, nobody like it just goes away basically. Like it's still there, but nobody wants to play it. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's good to get that experience in, and obviously it's worked out well for you. I mean, you've done very well as a pro. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, every one of your professional wins is by knockout, correct?
That's right. Yeah, one doctor stoppage, but yeah, y'all finished.
Still counts.
Yeah.
That was the doctor stoppage was over Nielsen, right?
Yep, Jeff Nielsen. Yep. He's really tough, real good fighter.
I'm very familiar with him. I've seen him fight many times. Okay. So I'm from Nebraska, so like we're in the same region, so we see a lot of the same fighters that are, you know,
kind of. That makes sense. That makes sense that you'd know someone who knows Minner then, because he's from there, right? Yeah.
He trains here in Omaha, where I'm from. So
right. Okay. Cool.
But yeah, so that makes sense. So when you're going into the, you know. Just I'm mind blown by this, that you like trained for like a year and then you were just in there fighting. When you're going into this first fight, like you had to have just not really known what to expect at all. Am I right?
No, 100% had no idea what to expect. Actually, an even crazier twist to that is I literally didn't know what my opponent looked like until like 10 minutes before the fight, because he wasn't at weigh-ins, like, or whatever. He showed up late, so we didn't do the face-off.
He showed up late. They still were like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, so we didn't do the face-off. I just like I made weight, went off and did whatever, rehydrated. but also like I couldn't find. I think so he was a replacement opponent. That's what it was. I was gonna fight somebody else. They replaced him like a week or two out with this guy who had more fights, and I couldn't find him like on social media, so I just had no idea what he looked like. And then it was the locker room was like just one room with like a curtain, so we're in the same room. You know, we could hear each other hitting pads and everything. And I just like I think we were both like it was like the fight before us was happening, and I just looked, I peeked around the corner and seen a dude hitting pads. I'm like, oh, that must be the guy I'm fighting. And then yeah, that was my first time seeing him. And then we fought 10 minutes later, and yeah, it was cool.
As wild as it is, that's a pretty common kind of thing on the amateur scene, because so like I had a few amateur fights like more than a decade ago, like it was way weirder back then. But even now, like when my buddies are still fighting and I'm like, I'll corner one of them or I'll, be at their events.
Right.
Some of the like hole in the wall venues and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's horrible. Like you'll be like, oh, there's one tiny room everybody's getting warmed up in, and they're like, it's so crazy. What's some of the craziest stuff you've seen on, like, whether it's amateur or professional, just regional scene? Like, what's some of the wildest things you've seen at fighting in all these promotions you fought for?
Oh man, yeah, I got some stories. Let me think. One when I fought in Kansas City, first time fighting out of state, and they moved the show an hour up, like on. So basically, it was supposed to be 90 minutes from it starting, and then it went to 30 minutes, like right then and there. And that was the first fight. So they moved up like crazy. That one, it was also a shared locker room with no curtain. That one had no curtain. So we're literally, so you literally just hit pads in front of your opponent, like just all there together. And it was outdoors. The cage was outdoors in a like a Harley Davidson like parking lot, a dealership parking lot. And it was like
the worst.
Yeah, it was close to like 90 degrees, I think, at least like high 80s. It was hot as hell. And then I fought, I lost, and I go to the back, and then some dude buys my cup off me because he didn't have one. Yeah. After I just got out fighting 3 rounds, went the distance in this 90-degree heat, he wants to buy my sweaty cup because he needs one real bad because he's about to fight. So sold him that for 20, and yeah.
That's too funny.
Yeah,
like, yo, man, I need a cup. I'll buy you a sweaty one.
Yeah. I'm just like, and no, it was crazy too, because I'm like, yeah, like I'll get you, like give me a minute. And he's just like, oh, I need it now. I'm just like, right here, okay, just pulled it out, give it to him, like hand it to him right there. Oh, it's terrible.
I remember one time I was in the back, getting ready to. I was there to corner somebody else, and this guy showed up. He didn't have a corner, and so the promoter asked me if I corner him. I was like, sure, whatever. And like we're walking out to the cage, and this dude just like kept adjusting his cup. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Anyway, he gets through the fight. The cup's bothering the whole fight. When we get back, turns out his cup was upside down the whole time.
Oh,
I was like,
no,
dude, what?
Damn. Yeah, and how'd the fight go?
I got horrible. He got beat really bad. So.
Oh, dang.
I don't know if he's still fighting it. I'd never met the guy. It was just like, hey, will you corner this guy? I know you're going
right.
to corner. I'm like, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was probably that was his first fight too, so that was probably a really rough experience for your first time. So.
Dang, yeah, it must have been nervous as hell.
I'm sure. So nervous he was cupping upside down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like the regional scene's full of that wild stuff like that. That's bizarre.
No, so it is.
That fight there, that one you said your first time out of Minnesota, that was as an amateur then, right?
That was as an amateur, yep.
So you were traveling clear down to Kansas City from Minnesota as an amateur.
Yeah. And yeah, it was a weird one. I just got offered it after I had lost. So that was a bad time because I lost a fight and then got offered that one like a few weeks later, and I was just like, oh, like I'll go redeem myself, but I didn't really like fix anything and just went in there and got wrestled. I had pretty bad wrestling at that point.
So is that the thing that has been your biggest challenge to learn, is the wrestling then?
Yeah, I think so. I think I feel like it's in a good spot, honestly. Like
that's not to say you're a bad wrestler, just so you know.
No, I get what you're saying, but like in the last fight, obviously that's what cost me. I mean, if you look at the scorecards, it would seem. But yeah, I think that is the hardest thing, just because it is such a like I've made huge gains, but it's like some of these guys just have a big head start on me. And as far as like they started wrestling, you know, as a child and did it their whole lives, and I've done it like only as an adult. But
Especially here in the Midwest too.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, everyone wrestles. Exactly, everyone wrestles here or knows someone who wrestled. Uh, but at the same time, I feel like it's also like the way MMA is. I wouldn't say not that it favors wrestlers, because every round you get a restart on the feet, and there's a lot of things that favor strikers. But like in that fight, like it's like his wrestling. My last fight that I lost, it's not like wrestling was being imposed in the sense like I was being controlled, but there was nothing past that. You know what I mean? It was just control, and it's like that. I think that can be a hard thing to fight against at times. Like when someone's just trying to hug, when they're using all their strength, their hands are locked and they're just holding. So I think it's just stopping guys from getting to that position is really the key. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and you hear everybody say, "Oh, it's damage over control. It's damage over control." But like when the judges are scoring it, it's only kind of damage over control because
yeah,
it can be, but like if you control somebody for a certain amount of time, they forget the damage. And I
they
think
do.
that's what people don't take into account for the judges.
It's optics. Yeah, it's optics, and I get it. I mean, that's like I said. I didn't think I won. Like when the final bell rung, I didn't think I won in the moment, because I just knew. I was like, damn, like that was too much time. That was too much time. I was on my back and working my way up, and it's even now. Like I watch it back, and I just say I could see a case for myself winning. Like when people say that
Of
they think I
course.
fight, I could see a case for rounds 2 and 3. I don't like scream robbery or anything like that. And I think what's his name? I think Ben earned the victory. But yeah, I think it's a tough spot where, like optically, it's like yeah, you spend a lot of time in a spot that's on paper, like the way the rules work, that's a neutral position when he's not passing my guard. You know what I mean? When we're in butterfly and I'm just like working my way up, like, or he's trying to wrap my legs, but he's not like actually wrapping them. He's not catching my wrist. He's not like actually passing to a dominant position. That's meant to be neutral on the rules, but
It's not
but
seen that way.
yeah, no, it's not seen that way by most judges. One judge saw it that
Yeah.
way. One judge gave me the second round, but yeah, that's part of the game.
Yeah, and that is the thing, because like MMA scoring is just so subjective. It's not like boxing scoring where like they're pretty much going off the numbers of strikes unless there's a knockdown. It's very subjective because like damage is subjective too. Like is a black eye worse than a cut? Is a cut worse than like a broken tooth? Like I don't know. Like what
Right,
else?
for
What
sure.
is
How do you
damage?
measure it?
Yeah, it's so subjective. So like when you look at like the MMA scoring in general, it's like all you can really do is just like kind of hope you got a good idea of how they're going to score it. But any judge just scores it. It's kind of just willy nilly at this point, like to an extent. So like when you get these fights that are really close, where it's like you versus Bennett, where it's like you guys are both going back and forth. You both have big like you had more big moments. He had a lot of like time. When it's like moments versus time, it's like how do
Right.
you even know? So I wish there was a way that they could hammer that out with the scoring, but it's just so hard to like. It's so hard to quantify it when there's so many aspects to it. Unlike boxing, where it's just like all you're doing is punching.
Yeah.
So much. Uh, would you like to see a more striking favored scoring criteria? Obviously, you fit your style very well, or are you kind of like, do you like the way it is now, or what would you like to see changed?
That's a hard one. I think that's more a question. Like I could give my answer, but it wouldn't necessarily be fair and objective like for all of MMA. You know what I mean? Of course, I'd like to see strikers
Right.
value more on the scores, but I don't know that necessarily is balanced. But at the same time, yeah, I do think it's still. I think there's been a lot of progress, but I think there's still work to do as far as like just like we were saying, what the rules say should be given points to, and what actually happens, what's actually scored. But yeah, no, I think like you said, it's basically the battle of time versus moments, and that's tough to score.
It is. And so with that, I guess there's those rule changes that are coming up, I think November 1st. Do you know if Minnesota's adopting those?
Are you talking about the rule with like the 12-6 elbows and the down to? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we are adopting those rules. Yeah.
Nice. I heard that Nebraska is as well. So that's like I think it's going to be mostly across the board. But even now,
Yeah.
every state's just a little different. So I mean,
Yeah.
you fought in different states.
Yeah.
It's kind of like some states as an amateur, you wear like shin guards and stuff, and that's
That's
weird.
crazy to me. I've seen that. And then I think Nebraska, they're allowed to elbow as amateurs.
Yeah, Nebraska is literally the exact same as a pro fight, other than the
Right.
rounds are 3 minutes.
Right. Yeah. See, I thought that was awesome. I would have loved to be elbowing guys as an amateur, but
Yeah. I remember my first amateur fight. I took a lot of elbows. So.
damn, that's wild. Yeah. I could see why. Yeah, I could see why it's illegal in the state, just because you can have like you have such like a damaging tool. Same with knees to the head, and you can have such big skill gaps like in the amateurs that it makes sense to have them illegal. But it would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it does make for fun. I mean, and especially, and like, I know it probably makes me like a bit of a bad person, but sometimes when you go to these amateur events and you see these guys walk out and you're like, I don't really need to know anything else other than the optics on who's going to win this.
Oh, for sure.
It's just one of those, you love to see a car crash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I was at fights this last Saturday, with watching my teammates, and there's a lot of that in the regionals.
Yeah, especially like the lower down the totem you get. Like when you get to where it's like all amateur fights except for the main event.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah,
those are great. So much fun. But those are also the ones you end up with an outdoor event where like it's 90 degrees and the promoter thought that was a good idea. So
exactly.
That's so funny. Okay, so I won't keep it too much longer. I want to just a couple things about how you got into MMA. So you said you started at 18. What spurred this? You said you didn't do sports, nothing like that. What made you want to do it?
Just seeing it, like having a buddy show me like just random highlights on YouTube, just watching like compilations and stuff, and just seeing it, thinking it was something cool and something I'd want to try. And then like me and some of my friends, but this was before I ever joined boxing and like did real training, but we had like a punching bag. We would like get some gloves and kind of like spar in the backyard and whatever. And just kind of have like fight nights, like watch fights and box each other and stuff like that. So it was just like interest more than anything, just like, I wonder if I could do it. And that kind of, going back to that first amateur fight, that was like that's why I really wasn't mad. Like when it was a draw, I was just like, well, I wasn't like, at that point I didn't really have like a competitive bone in my body. I feel like it was more just like, can I do this? And then I fought a guy who had like 5 fights and I did well, so I'm like, I guess I can. And then,
yeah, I mean, you did something right. I mean, to get a draw in like a fight where you'd only been training for a year, and obviously, like you said, you had no background. You didn't wrestle. You didn't like all you'd done is a year of training. So I guess you must have at least been athletic because, yeah, I mean, otherwise in a year, that's pretty wild. Did you have like an athletic background of any sort, or like?
No, I mean, I skateboarded for years, but I wasn't like super good, and playing basketball, like not on a team, but just in the park, and even that, I wouldn't say I'm athletic. Like I can't even dunk, even at my height. So, and I can't do like backflips. I can't do like all these markers of athleticism, but I think I'm pretty fast, I guess.
You're definitely fast. Like watching your film, I mean, you're hitting these guys and they don't see it coming. That's a good sign you're fast.
Yeah, so, I got that going for me.
Definitely. Okay, so just kind of got into it because your buddies were showing you stuff. So, and you said you and your 2 buddies kind of like all started around the same time. Was that like a plan to do that, or did like one of you guys do it and then the other 2 were like, well, that's dope, we should do it?
No, so it was more like so the guys that I was watching fights with and we were like boxing in the backyard, none of those guys actually ended up fighting.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, those are my buddies who we would just be hanging out and have like little fight, like a fight night thing. But then like Cody and Levi, the guys I was talking about before, I met them. Well, Levi I always knew just from going to school with him and whatnot, but Cody I met from training, like at actually we were training upstairs at the bowling alley. They had some mats down and like the judo club, and Mike Mullenau, he was like a pro MMA fighter who was teaching us some stuff. And so yeah, it was I met Cody there, and was training with Levi, and yeah, Cody was just like getting ready for his first fight, and I was in there with him, and then I was just like, oh, I guess I'll do it too. You know, I was already trying at that point to find one, and so yeah, it all just kind of happened at the same time.
That's pretty awesome. So, okay, that kind of leads me to the other one. What's like the crazy, like you said you were like, you know, doing boxing like in the backyard and stuff, but like what's like the weirdest like gym you've ever trained at, or have you always trained at like an actual gym since you started?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, the bowling alley is pretty weird. Like just going, I'd go to a bowling alley, go up the stairs, and there'd be mats, and we would train up there, and then put
So
away.
was it an actual gym up there, or is it was just like some dude put mats up there?
Just some mats, yeah, just some
That's
mats.
awesome.
Yeah, and even like the boxing gym I trained at in Wilmer, like it's we would be sparring on like a gymnasium floor, like a basketball court. You know, it wasn't like there's no rings or nothing like that. Just guys working hard in there, a few guys. But other than that, yeah, nothing really, no really crazy gym stories.
Those kind of things though are like you end up finding out real quick if you want to be a fighter at those type of places, because it's never the ideal situation. Like you don't have all the latest tech, you don't have all the best training partners, but you find out if you enjoy it real quick. So that's awesome. I mean, just mats up above the bowling alley, you know?
No, 100%. I think a lot of guys like, you know, watch like Never Back Down or something, and if they walked into a gym like that, like oh, this isn't for me. Like I was expecting a little more glamour, a little more, you know, but I don't know. For me, I just wanted to get better, wanted to compete.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I'll let you get out of here. It's been like, you know, whatever, 30 some odd minutes, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But real quick, obviously you've got some buddies that are probably fighting soon. If you want to shout any of them out, shout out their fights coming up, or if you want to shout out anything that you have personally going on, now's your time. Here's the platform.
All right. So we just had this last weekend. It was Mark and Denzel who both fought. Shout out to them. Both did well, and Denzel is now 3-0. So yeah, he's got a bright future. Who's got fights coming up? Let me think. We got Xavier, Jesse, and Jaden. I think I know I'm forgetting someone. We got a lot of guys who got fights coming up, but at least those three are fighting coming up in October. I think it's October 19th. Could be wrong, but yeah. So we got them coming up. Guys that have been pushing me: Denzel, Augustine, Derek, and yeah. Shout out to my coaches, Angel and Brock.
Angel, that's Angel Pacheco, right? The one that's in the UFC.
Yep, that's right.
Cat in the way.
Oh,
that's awesome. Yeah, he also had a pretty incredible performance on the Contender series. So I mean, seeing that was a barn burner. So that makes sense. It makes sense with your style if he's coaching you, because I mean, he fights like a train wreck apparently. So,
yeah,
you know, that's pretty awesome. So, and what gym is that again?
Start BJJ out of St. Cloud.
I actually knew that. I just wanted you to say it on here.
Oh no, for sure. I should. Yeah, see, I'm bad at these shout outs. Yeah, Start BJJ in St. Cloud. Come check us out if you're in the area.
That's awesome, brother. Okay, well, I'll let everybody else check all your stuff out. I'll put some links down in the description to some of that stuff, and as well as your Instagram and what have you. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Joey Hart's the man. Joey, I appreciate you coming on this interview with me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Appreciate it.